So welcome back to another video here in Pennsylvania, and we're going to do the next installment on our edible and medicinal plant video series. And I see it right down there. It's one I've talked about quite a bit recently, but let's go check it out first. The plant is right up here growing on the trail. Got a whole bunch of it right here. Clump of it. It's got that purple color. And that purple is in the name. This is called purple deadnettle. It does have these tiny little purple flowers on it. Barely see them at times, and a lot of times the leaves have a purplish color at the top. Not always, but quite often. And it is quite common this time of year. Today is April 11th. So we'll find a place to sit and have a chat about its edible and medicinal qualities. It's one particular medicinal quality I have some experience with, rather unintentionally, but it does indeed work. So I'll tell you that story a little bit later when we sit down and talk about it. All right, so here you go. Purple deadnettle, Lamium purpurum, because that refers to the purple color, as you can quite see on there. This time of year, this stuff grows everywhere here. This day is April 11th. An early spring like this, a lot of the farmers' fields, before they've been, plowed or planted, there's purple with this stuff. It is not native to this area, to Pennsylvania or the surrounding area, but it's here and it's not going anywhere. And since it blooms so early, it does have those honey purple flowers on there. This is great for the bees and the early insects that come out, so they depend quite heavily on it these times. It does go by different names. Sometimes it gets called red deadnettle or purple archangel. Has different interesting names like that. It's a member of the mint family. It's not a member of the nettle family, thus the name deadnettle, which means it's not actually a nettle, a true nettle. Although I think sometimes it gets confused for that. So that's that terminology, a deadnettle. And so it is edible. You can eat the flowers. There's an ant crawling on me. The little purple flowers. Have a slightly sweet taste to them, but the leaves are also edible. You can eat them raw. You can cook them. Some people put them in salads. They don't have a bad taste to them, but oh no. As members of the mint family, there's a very slight minty taste to them. Yeah, I think I mentioned people do put them in salads and things like that. I wouldn't eat too many of them. I'll tell you why in a moment when I do the medicinal properties. But yeah, it is an edible plant. So, like I said, it doesn't taste bad, but I'm not sure. I would definitely not want to eat a salad just made of this, but you can mix the greens from this into like a salad with other stuff in it as well. All right. Let's get into the medicinal aspects. That's where it gets interesting. All right, so we'll get into some of the initial medicinal qualities here. We got a list of them here. An astringent, a purgative, a diuretic, and a diaphoretic. So we've talked about a diuretic already in some of our previous videos. An astringent is something that shrinks the blood vessels. So I think I mentioned it in my intro video to this series. I talk about one of my favorite medicinal plants, the yarrow. An astringent can help with wounds. If you make like a poultice out of the leaves and stick it on a wound, it shrinks the blood vessels, thus causing the bleeding to stop. A purgative, aka a laxative. This stuff will make you go, trust me. I got a story to tell you about that. Diuretic, we've talked about in previous videos. This makes you pee, so you'll have to poop and pee. And a diaphoretic makes you sweat. But all three of these have the idea of an expectorant, like making you release stuff, cleaning you out, I guess you could say, which, depending on what is going on in your body, is not a bad thing to get cleaned out. Because diuretic and diaphoretic are kind of similar, because your sweat basically in some ways is urine in a lot of ways, so sweating profusely can help remove toxins from your body just as well as some frequent urination. All right, like I said, your kidneys are responsible for removing waste from your blood and stuff like that, so that can be a good thing. As well as a purgative. If you can't go, that's a bad thing, folks. Being constipated is no fun. You need to go. That can be a serious health issue. So if you're having trouble going, this stuff will make you go. I got a story to tell you about that though. So years ago, at one of the places I taught at, I had a survival class with mostly a bunch of junior high age boys. I still do some survival classes, but this particular one was years ago. And in the spring, about this time of year, we went out in the yard area, and I had them look. We were looking for wild edibles and medicinals in the yard and in the surrounding fields. And we found a few things, including this. And then to show that you could eat them, we had a variety of different things like dandelions and things, and we put them in a bowl with some water and we cooked them. We cooked them in the microwave. I don't know if we call that cooking, but we heated them up in the microwave for a couple minutes. And I had the guys taste those plants. Some are a little bit more eager than others to taste them, but afterwards, there was a greenish broth, you could say, that was left over from in the bowl, the water that was used to cook them up. Almost like a tea, I guess you could say, because you can make a tea. The best way to get the stuff medicinally is to make a tea with this stuff. Put some boiling water, let it steep for a bit. But yeah, they dared me to drink that leftover water, so I did. So I knew about its laxative properties when I drank that tea, but I had never tried it before. Now there were other plants in that were kind of made up that tea too, but there was definitely purple dead nettle in there. And I joked about it with the boys. Junior high boys love to talk about that kind of stuff, if you know what I mean. So we kind of joked about it, but in reality, man, I almost did not make it home. I had to go. I had to poo. But fortunately I did make it home, and it cleaned me out, so it works. It definitely is a purgative. That's another one of these, like I said, I think I said in an intro video, sometimes you read about the medicinal qualities of plants and you're kind of like, yeah, right, but yeah, right, it does work. So if you're having trouble going, yeah, purple dead nettle it'll fix that. And then just a few other things that I have written down on my notebook here, because I mentioned earlier about the astringent qualities. I do have written down here too that it was applied to wounds to kind of help stop the bleeding as well. Sometimes they would make a salve out of it, put it on sore, itchy skin, kind of probably the same idea. It does have a lot of vitamins and minerals in it. It's high in fiber, but like I said, I wouldn't eat too much of it, because fiber is good at helping you to go too, so you might get a double whammy there. And some other information that I've come across concerning it says that it also has some anti-inflammatory, antifungal, and antibacterial qualities too, as well. But yeah, I will not be making a tea to try for you out of the plants. I know in some of the other videos when I talk about dandelions and stuff and some of their plants, I want to do some more with them in the future, but I'm not going to make dead nettle tea. I can assure you, like I said, that it works. So, but on that note, like I'm going to say in all these videos, before you partake of any edible wilds, either edibly or medicinally, make sure you do your own research first. I'm going to say it in every video, folks, because I read stories all the time about people who think a plant is something that's not, and they hurt themselves and others, or they misuse it, don't use it properly, take too much of it, or don't prepare it properly, and yeah, bad things happen. So make sure 100% that what you're using is what it is, and that you're using it properly. And once again, here's another look at the purple dead nettle. Like I said, it is indeed purple, and there's not a ton of it out in this field, but sometimes I said fields are just purple with it. And I should mention too, the upper leaves are not always purple. Sometimes they are green, but these ones are beautiful purple color. So there you go, purple dead nettle. The ants like it too. There's one on top there. But that'll be it, folks, for purple dead nettle. Another edible and medicinal wild plant here in Pennsylvania that does indeed work. As always, folks, thanks for coming along on this adventure. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one, wherever that may be. Maybe looking for another wild edible.